Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Pod Save Chocolate. My name is Clay Gordon, and I am your host today. And today is an example of one of my favorite kinds of episodes here on Pod Save Chocolate. It is an interview with the chocolate maker and a tasting. And we had some special drama this week when UPS lost the shipment the first time around. It's always really wonderful when that happens. Not. But before we begin, I want to remind everybody that this episode of Pod Save Chocolate, like every episode, is sponsored by the members of The Chocolate Life. You can go over to The Chocolate Life today. You can click on the green join button if you're not a member. There's always a free membership tier and premium memberships if you want to support the work that we're doing here. And for every episode of Pod Save Chocolate, I create a post. And here is the post for today's episode. So it's a run of show. You can follow along. You can get the links and all that other kind of stuff. And without any ado, what I want to do is introduce my guest today, Tandy Peterson of Embers Chocolate here in Arizona down in Phoenix. Tandy, it's good to see your face again today.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
And what I want to do is say thank you. You're taking time out from a real exciting new venture. And that's one of the things that I want to talk about. We'll get to the tasting. We have 3 bars. I haven't tried any of them yet. We'll get to the tasting shortly for everybody. But while I'm thinking about it, you can go into the comments, anybody who's watching, whether it's the live chat on YouTube or the comments on our LinkedIn and Facebook, and you can give us a quick shout out. Let us know where in the world you are connecting from. But if you have a question for either Tandy or me during the course of the episode, you can put it up in the comments. We'll get it up on screen, and we'll see if we can get it answered during the course of the episode. Okay, with all that in front of us, Tandy, it's good to see you again. I've known of you, as I explain in the notes for today's episode, that you and I have I first heard about you and the work that you're doing let's do this from the Craft Chocolate Challenge, for which you were a competitor for a number of years, but then we'd actually never met each other in person until last year at the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival, where you were an exhibitor. Am I remembering correctly?
Yes. So we had talked. It was actually at, I don't even know if it was at Midwest Chocolate Festival. I think it was at the Coffee and Chocolate Festival in New Mexico, in Albuquerque. Well, we met.
Were you there as an exhibitor or?
Yep. This past year, because I don't think I saw you. Or no. That's right. We did meet in Midwest. That's right.
Right. So yeah, no, I was there in 2024, but not in 25. And I don't want to get into the minutia, but one of the things I do want to mention to people is that one of the ways that I think about interacting with a craft chocolate maker is your grandmother wanted to have a certain relationship with her butcher, which is she'd walk you to the butcher and they'd been doing business together for years, and the butcher would be able to say, Mrs. Gordon, right?
Exactly.
Today we've got the veal shanks. I think I think you'll love them. Right. And so what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to walk into your chocolate maker, and the chocolate, you can say, what's good today? And the chocolate maker will say, aha, right. Here's what you want to do. And so, that is one of the advantages of a retail environment. But hey, Tandy, we're in a really weird and interesting time right now, economically. So tell us about your newest venture, which is called
Tandy.
Yeah. So tell us why now, right? With all the crazy things that are going on, and what is Tandy's and what is it doing, and why is it important, more importantly, to the way you see interacting with your customer base and then growing the brand and the business?
Yeah. So, I, like Clay was saying before, we haven't been able to see a lot of the customers in person because we are selling through a number of different retail stores, and then we're selling online, so they can see us at tastings or if we're doing stuff like that. But I've really wanted to have a brick and mortar. So over the last several years, I've been really looking for that brick and mortar space. And I stumbled across an old restaurant that one of the chefs I worked with for a long time owned, and he was looking for a tenant, but the space is just too large just to run the chocolate facility. So I thought, why not marry my 2 worlds of loves? So I'm also a full-time chef, and then I do chocolate as well, kind of full-time also. So we just work all the time. And with that, I'm kind of taking my chef and meshing it with the chocolate. So We're going to have a restaurant that's going to be 3 meals a day. It'll be breakfast and lunch kind of counter service with a real special coffee and drinking chocolate program. We're going to do all of our pastries in-house featuring Embers chocolate. And then during lunch, we'll have sandwiches and salads. And then in the afternoon, we'll have a really awesome happy hour where you can have chocolate flights. You can do tours of the space, see our roaster. So this is kind of like the back room right now. But we do have our little roaster over there hanging out. Apologize for the mess. We are under construction. But yeah, that's Charlie the roaster.
So can I situate you? So you're in the back room. So you're actually sitting in somewhere in the restaurant right now. Is where you're sitting going to be something like a chef's table?
It will be, the private dining room. We have these beautiful wine coolers back here. The roaster will not be in here permanently. We're actually going to feature that in the front of the kitchen. And then there's this awesome patio out here. I call it the ice cream patio. We will eventually have ice cream, but it just has these awesome red chairs. So you'll be able to sit out there, and it's really beautiful. They're painting the fence right now. My family flew in from Wyoming and Texas to kind of help me with some renovations for the space. So they've been helping me with the garden beds and painting everything this weekend. But yeah, so we'll have awesome happy hour. You can do tours, and then dinner. Of course, we're going to have a really awesome mole with chocolate on the menu. And then we'll have some awesome desserts. So it's going to be like a lot of restaurants or coffee shops are really roasting their own coffee, and that's kind of their niche. Our niche is going to be doing chocolate from scratch. So we'll bring in a lot of people to kind of see that side of things. And then we can have that one-on-one connection that Clay is talking about, where when people come in, we know like that they're dark single origin chocolate eaters, and we can refer them to truffles or bars or something that may be new or hot off the press, or we can kind of allow them to try something new and seasonal, like one of the bars you're trying today. So
I'm looking forward to that. It is pumpkin spice season, and so we're going to have a pumpkin spice chocolate bar. I've checked one of them. I've opened it just to make sure that it arrived intact, but I haven't changed the other two, and there's actually some new packaging as well. One of the things that occurs to me is that there is no gathering of the craft chocolate community in Arizona. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like we now have a location to gather.
Yes. So Effie and Michelle and I, which are, Effie used to be part of the FCIA. She was one of, I think, president. And then Michelle, who's an international chocolate judge. We started just a casual kind of chocolate tasting group because we all have these huge chocolate libraries of chocolate from all over the world and nobody to share it with. We share it with friends and family, but nobody that really understands and loves chocolate. So we started inviting a lot of local chocolate makers like Zach's and Stone Grinds and Miocene, and then just like chef friends and people who work in the industry, and then people who don't work in the industry that we just want to educate. So we have just had guest people coming in. Some of them bring their own bars. Some of them are just there to enjoy. So we didn't really have a space for it. So we were jumping around from coffee shop to coffee shop in different locations. So this is now we have a space for it. So it'll be really exciting.
Now you have, so I want to be invited to the first in-person tasting. Sure. And we have a local chocolate maker here in Prescott, so Orinoco, and I'll see if Jessica and Christian can also come down and join and share their chocolate as well.
We would,
because I don't know that they've been a part of what it is that you've been doing so far.
Yeah, no, not yet. We just started it at the beginning of summer, so we've done 3 of them so far, and most of them have been with Miocene Chocolate, who is another new local maker that specializes in sugar-free chocolate. So she's doing a lot of cool stuff with allulose and monk fruit sugar. Doing an amazing job. Her and her husband recently started their company, and so she's been part of the last several. And then me, Effie, and Michelle have obviously been at all of them. We did the Caputo's tasting with the 3 heirloom cacaos recently, and got to do like a lot of posts on that. So yeah, we've just been tasting lots of cool chocolate lately.
Well, which is certainly an exercise that I really, really appreciate. But let's go. You mentioned like there's a hot chocolate program. You're going to get into ice cream. You're doing pastries. You've got a hot side of things. You've got the cold side of things, all this other kind of stuff. Let's go back and talk about what's your training, what's your background, and how did you make the decision to add making chocolate from beans to your repertoire. So who is Tandy? How did she get, what is the trajectory of her culinary life to get to today, and when did it start, and all that other kind of stuff?
It's kind of wild. I think all good things happen naturally without forcing them. So I started cooking almost, I think it's like 16 or 17 years ago now. My family always loved to cook, so we cooked over Dutch ovens and did a lot growing up. And then I went to I have a degree in animal science, so I went to ag school, and then from there I decided that I wanted to cook. And then I came to Arizona, started cooking, and then I worked at a number of really high-end restaurants up until COVID. And then when COVID hit, I went home, which is Wyoming, and then I got an opportunity to go work in Alaska at a hunting camp. And I met a gentleman up there, and his niece owns a chocolate shop out in Ashland, Ohio. And so he was like, hey, Phoenix is missing like an awesome chocolate shop. What would we have to do something like that? And I said, I wouldn't be content if I was just dipping strawberries from already manufactured chocolate, because I have much more interest in like the science of things, but I would be interested if I could make chocolate. He asked if I'd ever done it, and I said no, and I was completely and totally naive to the whole process or anybody who was doing it in the industry. I started doing some research. Chocolate Alchemy was a huge resource when I first started, kind of reading the Ask the Alchemist, and then Mackenzie from Next Batch also, and I just started making a bunch of chocolate. And that led me down the craft chocolate world. I realized there is a lot of science behind it. It's much like coffee and wine, where there's tons of flavor nuances, and it just kind of, snowballed. And then I kind of took it upon myself to start educating people, because I really enjoy the education side. I think there's so much in the world that people don't understand about everything from food to chocolate. And yeah, so that's kind of what got me to.
So I'm going to ask a question that sometimes people look at me and go, "Rah, rah, 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 what are you doing this?" So number one, from the time you first tried your first batch of making chocolate,
Yeah,
until the time you said, okay, I'm ready to actually put this out on a shelf and charge money for it, right? I realize that there's always room for improvement, right? So we're never really satisfied with where we are. We can always do better. But how long did it take you to get to the point where you said, yeah, right, I think people will pay me money for what it is for the chocolate that I'm making?
Probably about 6 months. But
Wow.
that's because I was making chocolate when I was still full-time working at the Phoenician in Scottsdale. I was the chef of a restaurant. So I started making chocolate in January of 2021. And a couple of the first bars I made were the bourbon butter pecan that I still have on, the Dream Bar, and then my first batch of white
Dreams
chocolate.
Dreams of Thailand?
Dream Bar, chamomile, lavender, and mint
milk
chocolate. Yep.
Okay.
And then my first white chocolate, because I didn't get cocoa butter right away, I was doing 2-ingredient chocolate. So my first white chocolate that I got and started working with was actually the elote bar. And I would say the elote bar has come a long way from what it was. The recipe is still fairly close, but in terms of I caramelized the milk chocolate, I used P&CO, I backed off the amount of sour cream powder. So just like small tweaks based on mostly feedback that I've done. But yeah, I started giving away all the chocolate to everybody I worked with, and gave it to some people. Like I think My Year in Chocolate, MYIC, he was one of the first people who reached out and asked me about my bars. And I'm like, oh my God, I've made it. Somebody knows about me that's not in Arizona. So that's kind of where it all started. So some of the bars I first made are still are still some of my main SKUs. They've just been tweaked since then. But it'd be interesting to try some of my original chocolates. I kept my first 12 batches because because I was like, I want to see how far I've come. And I know the flavor kind of degrades a little bit. So Effie and Michelle, I think they're hopping on to watch. So if they're there, we may have to have a little antique chocolate tasting maybe for the first batch.
Gotcha. Yeah. So number one, talking about that, I know that I visited the Barry Callebaut factory in Wieze, Belgium. It's the largest chocolate factory in the world. And they have reference bars dating back nearly 100 years. for some of their classic recipes. And so they can actually go melt the chocolate, right? Detemper it, retemper it. I mean, they do keep reference bars for a very long period of time,
That's
which
awesome.
I think is um, which I think is mind-boggling in some respect. But one question I do have for the people out there who may not know what elote is and what the signature flavor elements of an elote bar. Okay, you mentioned sour cream powder and a couple of other things. Can you tell people what elote is?
So elote is Mexican street corn white chocolate. Well, that's what mine is a
Well,
Mexican.
no, I'm just talking about elote, and then what the application is in chocolate.
So elote is it's a grilled corn dish that is a street food of Mexico. So they take the whole corn and with all the kind of papery kind of shell around it, and then they grill it with all like the husk, grill it, and then they strip that back, and then you kind of hold it with the corn husks. And then they lather it in mayo with a little bit of cotija cheese and lime zest or lime juice with a little cilantro and some chili or like a hot sauce of some sort. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of that. So it's called elote if it's served on the cob. And then once it's removed from the cob, it's technically called esquites, which is like kind of like the cup of that corn. So I took that classic dish, which I kept a lot of those unique ingredients in it. So we've got habanero powder, we have tahini, we have cilantro, a little bit of cilantro leaves on the back. And then in order to get that kind of like cotija, like bright tart cheese flavor, we grind a little bit of sour cream powder into it in addition to like caramelized milk powder and then the traditional sugars of Pioncillo.
Right. And if I think about it, if I can, thinking about the range of bars of yours that I have tasted, I mean, I look at the motto, which is telling stories through unique flavors. And then with this, I added the forged in fire. Mm-hmm. And so the forged in fire and roasted corn seems to me to be sort of the most direct connection between a bar of chocolate you're making and your history. As you mentioned, cooking with Dutch ovens, I'm assuming over campfires, right? Yep. As a child. And if you're working in Alaska at a lodge, you might have been cooking over live fire at some point there.
I wish I was so far north in the Arctic, there was no wood. I got up there and I was like, what are we going to cook with? And they're like, there's no wood. This is
right. It's all propane?
We're in the Arctic, this permafrost up there. So that would have been awesome. But yeah, so a lot of my culinary history has been defined by fire. So cooking over campfires. And then I went to Spain and I worked at a restaurant called Asador Echevarri, which is it's the #2 restaurant in the world right now. And they specialize in doing everything over fire, which was actually the first place I saw chocolate being made from scratch. He roasted it in a basket over the wood fire. And then there was like 5 of us around the table picking all the shells. And we did it when it was hot. So you had to be kind of careful, but he wanted all the beans intact. And then that got ground and then they turned it into a truffle for the end of the meal. And fast forward 4 years, I kind of forgot about that experience. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was the first experience I had with making chocolate. And then I started a restaurant called Maori and Cotton that specialized around ancient cooking techniques and fire. And then I launched my restaurant or my chocolate company called Embers. And then if you look at I'm trying to think if I have a logo hanging around here somewhere, but the Embers.
I can very, very quickly if you want, but I can share the screen. Yeah. I mean, this is the logo back here.
Yes.
So the
logo is the positive is flames going upward, and then the negative is actually roots. So it's kind of like my roots were forged in fire. Yeah.
Gotcha. And for people who are watching, you'll notice that there's now a QR code in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. If you scan the QR code, it will take you to this post on the Chocolate Life. If you're on your computer, you can see it on your phone and follow it along and see what it is you're doing. Just a quick shortcut if you want to. So if anybody's watching out there, we have a number of people. If you've got a question or a comment that you'd like to ask Tandy, get it into the comments before we move forward. So if I can, Tandy, because you were at the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival, which is organized by Dustin, who is the organizer of the Craft Chocolate Challenge. Tell us a little bit about your experience with the Craft Chocolate Challenge, because and the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival, because season 5 of the Craft Chocolate Challenge has just opened. So if you're interested in participating, you can. And then we've got the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival coming up in a month from today is the first day of the festival. It's coming up soon. So tell us, because you are the first Craft Chocolate Challenge master.
Yes.
Right, which is, I suppose, a good thing and a bad thing. But tell us about your experience and what initially attracted it to you, and how has it been good for your business? Because I think that's one of the things that I really want to connect to.
Yes.
Is how the challenge has been a positive impact.
Oh, it definitely had a positive impact. So Dustin actually reached out to me via Instagram and asked if I wanted to be part of the contest. And I had never submitted to any contest before. I was a fairly new maker, and he'd seen a couple posts and was kind of inquired about it. And I was really fascinated by the fact, because it was a free contest and none of the contests are free. So I was able, as long as you can, validate setting aside the 13 or 7 bars that you need to send, then they will give you feedback, which was the biggest piece, because there's nothing more defeating than sending your, samples off, and then there's an award or not an award, and then you don't really know what to do. So one of the things that really drew me to this contest was the actual feedback. So I have emails, and every single judge leaves a very long rating, which was really cool for the elote, because the elote chocolate, when I first entered it, I was like, we're gonna have hits or misses, and Dustin's like, no, this bar's great, you'll do great. And then we literally got 50s out of 100s and 100 out of 100s. It was like an even split down the middle, but it was really interesting because I was able to read some of that feedback from the misses, and I don't think they quite understood maybe what I was trying to accomplish. So maybe the story wasn't there, or it was just like a little tart, and then the flavors didn't meld, which is why I tweaked my recipe. And now that bar has gone on to win, a gold at Worlds last year, and silver in America both last year.
Worlds where? Let's talk about that.
Chocolate Awards, Worlds.
At the International Chocolate Awards. Yay.
Yep.
All right.
So yeah.
And so that was in the first year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share quickly, because I updated the post this morning. So what I did is I provided a link in the post, right, to season 1 of the Craft Chocolate Challenge. So here we are, bronze for inclusions, 54% milk chocolate, your dream bar was the first win. Right?
Yep.
And then I did do a link for.
I think that was the year that elote was entered too.
Okay.
Yeah, the elote did not win an award that year, but the feedback I got from it was really fascinating. So sometimes for a maker, it's not just about the award you receive, it's about the feedback you get, because that's how you can pivot. Because for me as a maker, I don't know how my bars rate to other people's bars. And like, I have a library that I've spent thousands of dollars accumulating. And like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, it's years of accumulating those bars to be able to taste other people's bars. But when I first started, it was hundreds of dollars to get a bunch of bars just to see, like, what does another Madagascar bar taste like? Is mine good compared to it? So I think that's the hardest thing. You're like, is it my beans? Is it who I'm getting it from? Am I over conching? Am I under grinding? Like, it's like you don't have a reference point for a specific bean. So you don't know if you're doing a good job or if the bean is like maybe not the best. So it's really interesting to be able to gain knowledge just within the industry and know who's maybe using those other beans. And like a festival, like both like the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival is amazing, because I met like a number of makers that have reached out to me and stayed in contact since then. I had one from Fjord. He was like, hey, you talked about monk fruit sugar last year. Like, where did you get that? And we talked about a tomato bar that he was planning on doing. So we're able to like have that back and forth communication about maybe creating this custom bar, and he's going to have it this year. So I'm like, I'm actually not going to make it to the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival, but I'm sending my employee, because I opened my restaurant like a week after that. So I'm like, maybe I'll fly out for the day, but it's just not going to work. So I am sending my employee out there. So Embers bars will be there. And I think it's going to be a really valuable asset for my employee to go out and do some networking and connections with the people out there, just because this year there's the whole education side of things that's really meant for the makers, much like the Unconference in Seattle. It's this like that you can have that one-on-one connection with the other makers, where those are the people doing what we're doing every day that are really going to help you with your craft and help you move forward.
Yeah. So one of the connections, so there are a couple of connections that I want to make here. First of all, is you went from entering a bar in season one
Hmm.
and not winning an award with it, the Elote bar,
Hmm.
to several years later entering that bar into the International Chocolate Awards and winning world gold.
Yep,
That's a pretty fabulous trajectory.
it
And
is.
number one, I'm not saying this will happen to everybody who enters the Craft Chocolate Challenge, uh, but it one of the reasons why I think people enter it on a regular basis is that they do get the feedback that they're getting, and obviously, it's been helpful for you, Tandy. There's also this notion is that the organizer of a craft chocolate festival is the organizer of a competition. And so
Mm.
there is this natural connection between the two of these things. I'm going to be at the festival this year. I will be sad that I won't be able to see you in person,
No.
right?
And it's a
Um,
cute festival because it's in this small town. So there's just like
mhm.
this huge, they're doing like homestays and there's a couple coffee shops you can stumble into. Like I last year went into this random coffee shop and was like writing my speech. And there was four other people there, like, oh, you're Embers Chocolate. Like we saw your chocolate I was one of the judges. So like it just has those total small town vibes where, I just walked into a random coffee shop and people knew me and I'm from across the country. We're talking about people in the like Midwest, and I am
Right.
in Arizona, so Southwest, very far from there. So it was really cool just to kind of have that, across the United States connection.
Yeah, and not just a small town in farming country where many of the people who live there are farmers. And so if you're a chocolate maker, often what you have to do is you have to talk to people about farming and what cacao is like. And in this particular case, there's no need to talk about farming because you know it's you're surrounded by it. Everywhere you go, it's permeates part of the life of everything that's going on. And I also want to point out quickly is that this year, the Friday is setup day, so Friday morning, but Friday afternoon until the evening VIP reception, which is the first time exhibitors will be able to sell their product, is an afternoon of educational seminars and various programming, including networking, which is built in. So there's breakfast and lunch for everybody to get together. And then if you're going to be staying until Sunday, there's a brunch that everybody is doing. On Saturday, there's an after festival meal where everybody can gather and network. So it really is about growing this community. And even though it's the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival, we have somebody coming in from Norway, which is Kjell from Fjorden. Sweets Escalier is coming from Japan, not just sending their bars, but the maker is going to be there. Um, so you remember Cesar Aguiar from Cacaitos in Canada and Colombia. He's coming back. We have Elmer Pineda from Yohoa in Honduras. He's coming back. I think we have 3 people from Mexico this year. So it's going to be a really, really interesting international group of people. Maybe somebody from Madagascar if they can get their visas taken care of in time. We're not entirely sure. It's going to be really, really fabulous. But having gone that, what I do want to point out is talk about what being a master in the Craft Chocolate Challenge means for you. Number one, what does it mean? What does it entail? Right. And then number two is, are you, I'll ask that question once you get past the first question. What does it
So,
mean to
I
be a
mean,
master in the Craft Chocolate Challenge?
well, I mean, it's bittersweet because it did its job. So I entered for 3 years and got an award all 3 years, which means that I can no longer compete, which allows room for other makers. So a lot of the issues with some of the other competitions is the people who are doing it best and are consistent and are well known among some of those industries continue to win awards, and then it's really hard to kind of get feedback, solicit feedback, or kind of get your foot in the door in some of those large contests, which they're anonymous a lot in all awards, so it's anonymous. But some particular makers have styles, so you kind of know what bars are theirs. So yeah, this just allows, like, once it's done its job and you've got the feedback, you can go on and you can continue to do great chocolate, and you can educate and you can do other things, but it leaves room for some of the makers that are looking for feedback without making the contest so big that, you know, it takes months and months to get the feedback. It's fairly quick when you get the feedback, which is nice as a maker, especially if you have a bar you're really excited about and you want to get feedback from it. You can get it back, and then you can, like, you know, advertise and sell. Because some of the bars that I enter in some of the bigger contests, I enter and then they're gone. And then when we win the award, there's nothing to put a sticker on. Not that it's all about the stickers, but then you're like, oh, that was
no, it's all about the stickers. It's all about the stickers.
And it costs a lot of money. You know, it costs a lot of money to enter the awards. And if you do a single origin, which you really want feedback from, because, you know, that's where skills showcased as a maker is in the dark chocolate division. But I only get a couple bags of those in, so it might be gone. And then, you know, you spent that money to advertise and ultimately, like, continue to sell your product, and you may not have more of those bars left, especially as a small maker. I know my Bolivia bar that won the Masters year, I also entered that into the other contests, and, you know, I got a silver at Chocolate Alliance, and then that bar was gone. So, you know, there's not really nothing, you know, it tells me kind of how I'm doing, and ultimately that ends up on my website. But, you know, it's really nice to get the education out to the public about what you're doing and what you're trying to do, because really our goal as makers are to promote the craft chocolate industry as a whole. And we want to promote that what we are doing with chocolate, we're paying more for it, because we're really trying to get high quality chocolate out there that's true to what it is. And, you know, as the water rises, all the boats go up, whether they're big or small. So any education is good education.
So I do want to point out is if you have a question or a comment for Tandy, you can go into the live chat YouTube or the comments LinkedIn and Facebook, get it entered and press return. I'll see it here and I can put it up on screen, and we'll get Tandy to answer that question. One point I do want to make for people who might not be familiar about this is that that there are only 3 awards in a category. So there's, you know, only 4 categories: dark, milk, white, and inclusions in the Craft Chocolate Challenge. And there are only 3 awards. So there's gold, silver, bronze in each one, right? And you're only allowed 2 entries total. And you can't enter in more than one you can't enter a category more than once. So unlike, you know, something, you know, other kinds of awards, if you won a bar one year, you could enter the same bar the next year and the same bar in subsequent years. The whole goal of this is to recognize the work people do, get the feedback that the work people do, and then provide room for other people to come in behind what it is, come in behind and benefit from the process as other people have done. And that's you were the first master, I understand, Tandy. And
Yeah.
so you are the embodiment of what it is that the Craft Chocolate Challenge is all about. I want to quickly go again and share the screen here. So tell us a little bit about what I'm looking here. Is this sort of an entry? Do you walk? You sent this to me. Don't sound like you're surprised that I have this.
No, I was proud of the cookie photo. I'm really excited about that cookie. I'll tell you all about it.
We'll talk about the cookie, but is this the entrance? Is it the backyard? Do you walk through this archway?
Yeah. So the highway is right to the left of this photo, and then we have this beautiful 8 garden bed area that you could walk through the stone walkway. And then if you go kind of through that and then to the right, you'll end up on our patio. But really the entryway is kind of on the right. So you don't have to go through this. It just happens to be a very beautiful focal point of the restaurant. But
are you going to be able to plant in those garden beds? So are you going to be doing a little local mint and stuff like that?
So right now, they're full of all local, or not local, they're full of edible flowers and herbs. So if we planted like zucchini or tomatoes or anything like that, it really wouldn't sustain the restaurant. So we'd be able to do a couple plates of something. So we chose to utilize things that would replenish and regrow that we can really use more long term. So 2 beds of nasturtiums will be beautiful flowers. We'll be able to use them as garnish. And then we have, you know, parsley, chive, cilantro, dill, mint, herbs. Yeah, all kinds of herbs. So.
Gotcha. So tell me about the cookie.
So this is the
Wait, is this the front entrance to the restaurant? So we've
Yep.
turned right through the beds
Yes.
in this picture. So we've
Exactly.
walked through the arch, right? And we go to sort of the middle of this. We turn right, and what we do is we see the front of the restaurant, and you're going to be there. There's a statue right
Yeah.
in there that's holding
cookie.
this cookie.
Front. Exactly.
Yeah.
So yes, Rebecca Swift, one of the girls who I've worked with for years, is coming on as my pastry chef. And she brought me this cookie the other day. It's a brown butter chocolate chip cookie. But as you can see, it's almost got like porous holes in it. It's just so fluffy and crunchy on the outside and soft on the inside. It's going to be beautiful. And our whole goal, we're going to be a neighborhood restaurant. We want everything to be really approachable, nothing super crazy, nothing super fancy. We want a place that people can come 3 or 4 days a week. We're going to have awesome drinking chocolate. Everything's going to be moderate portion sizes. So it's not like massive portions, not tasting portions. So 2-ounce cookie, just exactly what you need. You don't have to share with a friend.
Are you familiar with this YouTube channel where they spend 24 hours a day in relays in a restaurant?
No, I don't think so.
So it's sort of ridiculous, but they find a restaurant, a diner, for example, that's open 24 hours a day, and somebody will come in and it'll do the breakfast shift, and then somebody will come in after a couple of hours and take over for lunch, and then somebody will come in and take over afternoon. So they try to sample the food in the restaurant over the course of a 24-hour period. So after you're open, so I think I'm going to be traveling to the East Coast for the family holidays at the end of the month. What I will do is I will come by, right, and I will arrive at opening and stay till closing, and we'll record the entire. We'll have an episode of something which is recording everything that goes on, and then interacting.
We'll get a chocolate sample every hour.
Or something. We'll figure it out. We'll take a tour of the chocolate thing. We'll go behind the scenes. We'll do a little, if I can enter the kitchen, we'll do some stuff there, but we'll talk with, the early group of customers are going to be the people who are going to be there 3 to 4 times a week. I think, but you have to let me do it. Is that okay? Can you let me do that?
Done.
Fabulous. I will make sure that I spend some time in Phoenix. Oh, you're talking to somebody on the staff. I got it.
They're running screwdrivers. I want them to hold off for the next.
Gotcha. And so let's get to the other big thing you're doing, which is, oh my gosh, you decided in the midst of everything else, this is new packaging.
Yes. So we launched packaging, I guess in March or April.
Has it been that long? Well, yeah. Okay.
It's so we launched the new packaging, and I think packaging is always going to be kind of an evolving thing, because I really want each bar to kind of have its own custom piece. But as all of us makers know, it's expensive. Packaging is expensive. So
so it looks like what you've done is the envelope is the same every time.
Yep.
Right. Then there is a sticker on the front which indicates what the bar is, and then a sticker on the back which has got bar specific information. Is that correct?
Yep.
Right. There's a tearable tab, not terrible, but tearable, not terrible, but tearable.
Oh, terrible.
A tab which can be torn across the back, which is held in place by the label, right? And then you open it up and you have a BOPP lip and tape. So this is so everything should be at least recyclable, if not compostable.
Correct. We're working on a fully compostable insert, but yeah.
Okay. So the one huge change I think that people might remember from your original set of bars is there's no hole, there's no window into which you can see the bar.
We may try to go back to that, because so many people are like, we miss seeing your bars. So yeah, we're always open to feedback.
Right.
Like one of the things with the contest, if you enter the contest, you need to be ready to hear feedback. So I think that when they start to read something. So yep, hey, there's expensive mistakes and there's cheap mistakes, but there's always room for improvement. So maybe you'll see our bar again soon. Who knows?
And maybe it's just the bars that have really interesting things which are scattered across the back, right? So they're interesting. So I have 3 bars. I have 2 single origins. We have a chuncho. For people who don't know chuncho, it's Peru. It's in the south, near Cusco. It's in that area. There's another bar here, which is Haiti. Both of these are 70% bars. And then the third bar is a milk and white chocolate swirl pumpkin spice latte. Where would you like me to begin in terms of the order of tasting this morning?
Let's start with a Haiti.
Let's start with Haiti.
So,
why are we starting with the Haiti? What is it about the Haiti?
So my style when I taste with people is I always start with dark chocolates, and I always
This is a nice, by the way, this is a nice clean tear.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Sometimes it doesn't. Full
Anyway.
disclosure.
All right. So you always start with a dark chocolate.
Okay. And I'll run this kind of with you. So I do 2 dark chocolates that are going to have very different flavor profiles, and then we move into inclusions and whites typically. So.
Gotcha. Wow.
And I think this bar is a definitely a staff favorite.
It smells a little bit of roast forward. So even though it's a 70%, it might be. Is it slightly more heavily roasted then? Or does that aroma make?
I think it's just mostly it's the chocolate. We're roasting this to about 250 Fahrenheit, which is typically what I roast like my Madagascar, Uganda, and Zorzal all to. So most of my my fudgy chocolates are roasted around that with a pretty long flavor development kind of roast. But yeah.
So I always like to have a second piece. The first one establishes it. So one of the ways that I give feedback on things is that when I snap something, it sort of sets up an expectation of what the bite and the chew are going to be like. So when I bite it, after doing the visual examination and the snap, the bite and the chew are what I would expect given the snap. Right. There's no sign of grit in this, so it's refined. While the melt is clean and easy, and it melts and it leaves the mouth very, very quickly. I don't know if we have enough time for me to let it sit for a minute or two and really think about the long finish. But there is I'm going to grab your attention because it is a little bit on the sort of a very, very faint sort of, baked brownie component to it. But it's round and it's enveloping and it fills your mouth. And it's like that. If you were to just lick a brownie and get that crackly sweetness on the top of it, you know what I'm saying? When it forms the crust, there's that sweetness to it. So it seems a little sweeter than a lot of 70%, but in a really, really positive kind of way, if that makes sense. And I have a feeling that it's the sort of bar that if you weren't paying attention to, the entire thing would be gone before you paid any attention. I mean, you saw me after I had to fold it up and put it away and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not sitting here going, You said this was a staff favorite?
Yeah. So I call this, it's like a s'more chocolate. So it has, for me, like kind of some green notes, tons of fudgy forward, but the sweetness that I get that you're describing, I get like a toasted marshmallow. Like it's got that like kind of charred creme brulee, kind of like toasted marshmallow vibes. So I actually ended up turning this into a milk chocolate s'more bar as well. So this Haiti will be kind of throughout a couple of our other chocolates as well, but we make a s'more bar with homemade graham cracker also that's just delicious, and it's a milk chocolate, but this one's a dark, but I think this dark is just it's a standout. It's super fudgy.
Well, I never read tasting notes before I taste a bar because I don't want to get the influence. So so these are not as sweet. You say cinnamon forward, right, with the graham crackers, and so when you think about animal shaped cinnamon flavored cereal for breakfast, nowhere near that level of sweetness. But that experience that you're talking about with, torched marshmallow and chocolate and the particular flavor of graham flour, I mean, it definitely comes through it. If I had more time to sit and think about, what are my flavor reference, I might have gotten there. But now that you say it, I completely get it. I mean, one of the reasons why I mentioned this, and this is certainly the case with the milk chocolate. And you know what? I want to see the swirl, the milk chocolate and dark chocolate swirl.
Pull it out.
I'm sorry?
Pull it out. Oh,
no. I'm saying the Haiti.
Swirl.
You got a milk chocolate and a dark chocolate. I want to see the swirl.
Ooh, we have never done a milk chocolate and dark chocolate swirl. We always do white.
But with this particular flavor profile, it might work. One of the reasons why is it would be really accessible to smaller children.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you called that like if you use the name s'mores in it.
So
they'd see them.
Let me see if I can find a picture.
That's all right.
I normally have my bars with me, but I'll show you the picture. We did mini marshmallows with homemade graham. I'll find it and I'll see if I can hold it up.
That sounds lovely. Would you want to go to the chuncho next?
Yes.
By the way, everybody, this is just black tea as my palate cleanser. So it's room temperature black tea today. So while you're looking for that picture, you can think about, do you have an idea from eating other makers' chuncho bars what you want your chuncho to be, or do you try to do something which is atypical chuncho?
I don't think I've ever had a chuncho bar from anybody else. Okay. I actually had never had this bean before. I got it from Francis Ducre Chocolate out of Montana, actually closed up shop and sold me all his beans. So the Haiti, the chuncho, and the Piura all came from him. And I fell in love with a lot of the chocolates. So I got his contact and we have some more coming in this year. So
cool.
So this chuncho, I don't want to spoil it, but I'll tell my story once you taste it initially.
Okay.
Because these beans taste and smell like something roasting at 100%. Like when you crack the beans right out of the roaster, it's undeniable. Some of the flavor profiles coming off of them. Less so when you start to grind it, the actual flavor actually kind of hides a little bit.
Of course, now it's blueberries.
Oh yeah, straight blueberries.
It is blueberries.
So this bar, when it is fresh, is like a bowl of blueberries. It is crazy. And it actually, more fudginess comes out in the dark chocolate, almost like beery, but yeah.
Right. Wow. Which is interesting is now that I have it in my mouth, when I put my nose in the bag, that's the first thing I get, right? Is the fruit.
This is our
okay. Oh, hold on a second. I'm gonna make you fill full screen so that people can see it.
All right.
Right.
I was like, I think I have my screen lock on, so I can probably.
That's okay. That's all right. You know, you're familiar with Luisa Abrams. No, it's Mission Chocolate, the Dos Rios bar, which is, so it is two different chocolates, and half of the bar is one chocolate and half of the bar is another chocolate. They're very different colors, and it symbolizes two rivers coming together.
Okay. And I have heard of that one.
Right. So I'm thinking that if you were to take the Haiti dark chocolate and the Haiti milk chocolate and put them together in a bar, right? Because here's why I'm doing it. And if you do it half and half, almost perfectly, right? What would happen is you could break the bar in half and have two pieces, one on top of the other, and enjoy both of them at the same time. But so
see, when you bust our pumpkin spice bar, you'll kind of see. So we have like the pumpkin spice down one side, the coffee, milk chocolate down the other, and in the center you get that perfect mix of half and half.
What's really interesting is that on the second piece, on the first piece, the blueberry just jumped out at you. And I said, bang, I'm here. The second piece, there is this interesting mixture of the chocolate as a base and the blueberries at the top, and they're actually blended in an unusual kind of way. They come in, and it's really, really a very different experience on the second bite than it is on the first bite. So Julie McLean. Julie is a Chocolate Life member and supporter. We compare notes sometimes. Back in 2012, we had a s'mores bar. So Julie was the founder of a company called Sibusura. On the East Coast, I think Greater Washington, D.C. area, I visited a couple of times. We've been doing business back and forth for a decade or more. Had a s'mores bar in a retail shop only, not swirl bars, dark milk, milk white, dark milk. Yeah, and she mentions, Julie, I don't remember the bars specifically, but I do remember I'm having conversations around what you're doing around that time. But it's been 13 years, and I'm at an age where those levels of detail sometimes go. And by the way, Tandy, Julie also is a bean and derivative supplier, and so she could be a source.
Yeah, and I'd love
and
to.
if you want, what I will do is I have Julie. So Julie, I have your email. I have Tandy's email. After this is over, I will connect the two of you together. All right.
I'll save. We're coming out of the season for our s'more bar. We did it for the summer, so I'll save one for you. If Missy's watching, we'll see Missy. Make sure to save one.
And save one for me, and bring it to.
Yeah, we can bring it
to
here.
Rushville. Bring it to Rushville, and anything else you think I should have, which will be cool.
Okay.
Anyway, all right. So Julie's got a couple of notes saying thank you very much, and I will make sure that happens.
Yeah. So with that one, I almost got like a stout beer and buttermilk note that kind of popped through with a fudgy.
I was wondering, because that chocolate note that I thought sort of blended at the strawberries, there is a little bit of lactic sourness to it, and I was wondering if I was imagining it.
No,
and I wasn't.
Yep.
So I'm thinking of sort of, could I do a sour cream streusel on top of a chocolate blueberry muffin, right?
Oh, yeah.
Without the flour. I mean, is where that's going. And I'm using, and I get what you're talking about when you talk about the stout. Again, we're running through these things very quickly, and I don't really have a chance to go and make all the faces that I would normally do as a result of. All right. So here is the back. Let me take it out of the wrapper. So here is the back of the pumpkin spice latte bar. Whoops, it broke, but here it is. Sorry. So that's the front. That's the front of it, and here's the back of it. So what is scattered on the back?
So I'll talk about the chocolate first. So we have coffee.
So Tandy, just take over and talk about the chocolate first, and ignore my questions.
So we have a coffee dark milk chocolate on one side, and then a pumpkin spice white chocolate on the other side, which we swirled together. And then on the back, we sprinkled over sugar in the raw with a little bit of that pumpkin pie spice, and then candied pumpkin seeds. So we're kind of.
So this is candied pepitas. Okay. Yep. Gotcha. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the middle row. And so here's the top of it, and here's the back of it. And we can see the side thing going on here.
And yesterday we paired this with a pumpkin cider from a local cider company called Six Bird Cider, and it was phenomenal. They also have a chai one that paired perfect with this. So if anybody locals around, you have to pick up a bar and go to Six Bird Cider.
And I'm thinking of another combination, which is I want to figure out a way to do a double dip in Arizona dates.
Oh, okay.
So take a local date. The Arizona Date Company is down by you.
Mm-hmm.
So do a partial in the white chocolate and the partial in the other chocolate. And so, right.
And it reminds me of Dandelion Chocolate has those beautiful Black Mission figs that are dipped in chocolate. We can do a local date version.
That would be great. And I have another idea for like Turkish figs. Slice open the bottom, stuff them with Marcona almonds, which have been scented with rosemary. Close them up and then dip them in chocolate.
Oh yeah, that'd be super.
So the texture. So this is one of the things that get you here. And I want to say that although I never tried the elote bar of yours, all right, after season 2, when I became a judge, one of the things that I really campaigned Dustin on is creating an innovation award. Right. So if the innovation award had been around year 1 for you at elote bar, I'm sure it would have won. You just a brilliant idea. It was not quite there.
Yep.
In terms of the execution of the idea, and this is for me, this is the kind of thing that I'm trying to do with the innovation award, right? Which is take a risk, do something interesting, have a lot of fun with it, right, and see about doing something that sort of pushes people's ideas about what a craft chocolate bar should be, right? So I'm going to take a square of the white and a square of the dark, mix them together. The pumpkin seeds, the candied pumpkin seeds, are the thing I think make this bar for me. Like that, it is a crispy crunch with a candied seed, but just the combination of the milk chocolate and the white chocolate. It's not hugely pumpkin forward. I mean, it's not like you've gone to the local coffee shop and give me 3 pumps of pumpkin spice flavoring. It's like, can I have the larger size you've got and half a pump or something like that? It's there, but it just doesn't blow you out with its pumpkinness. It's really, really well balanced. I like that idea. And a quick shout out from Effie. I will take you up on that offer. Chocolate and cider sounds like a fun pairing. Absolutely. I completely get where apples. I mean, listen, here's what I want you to do. Take this and dunk an apple cider donut in it.
Yeah.
Right. Or drizzle this over an apple cider donut with a cup of hot cider for a winter something.
Oh yeah, we're gonna use some of their cider. They have a lot of byproduct from the cider that they can't can because it's like cloudy. It's like a smoothie consistency. So we're actually gonna make a cranberry spice cider bar from them.
Ooh.
Using their chocolate. So it'll be a lot of fun.
That does sound lovely. So we're getting close to the end, Tandy. This is great. I mean, congratulations on the packaging. This is the first time I've seen it, even though it's been around for 6 months and nobody told me about it. Gives you an idea about how often I get down to Phoenix, which is almost never. But it's an exciting time. You're opening up a restaurant in 5 weeks.
Yeah.
It'll be open the first week in December. So this is, all kinds of adrenaline going like this and all signs of like, what am I doing? And all this other kind of stuff. Things are coming together. Families coming and pitching in, which is always a great thing as well. You've got some new products. I'm looking forward to the seasonal stuff. I'm hoping that I can get down there before the end of the year. So after you open, I will be passing through Phoenix on my way back from the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival after Thanksgiving, although I don't know I will be that late. I will stay in touch and see if we can make something happen as a result of then. You got any last minute things you want to say to the people?
No, thank you for tasting some bars. It's exciting. It's always exciting to reach another branch of audience. So we're doing really cool things and we're just trying to make great chocolate and educate people and just have a good time doing it. So
because if you're working with chocolate and you're not having fun, you are doing it wrong. Exactly. So everybody on the outro, here is the post for today's episodes. One of the things that you will find right at the top, this is the link to the Embers Chocolate website, and you can go to the menu up here on the right, and you can click on shop, and then you can choose all the chocolate bars, and you can order them for holiday gifting. If you're thinking about doing something for early Thanksgiving, and you wanted to bring something that would bring a great deal of joy to the chocolate fans who are in the people who are going to be joining with, having something that speaks to the tradition of American corn or corn from the Americas, because corn is a generic term for any grain generally. But when you think of maize, the elote bar is huge. This new bar, pumpkin spice bar, for everybody who loves pumpkin spice. Are you still doing Dreams to Thailand?
It's out of season. We'll probably launch it again in the spring.
Gotcha. So the Haiti bar that we had today, the Chuncho bar that we had today. I mean, if you like big fruit forward bars, the Chuncho is a very, very blueberry forward. So you can go, there's a link so you can order all that kind of stuff. There's no referrals or anything like that. I'm not being compensated. If you purchase anything, it's just the link that are there. Links to the Craft Chocolate Challenge. I realized that you and I had done an interview before and tasting. I thought it was much longer ago, but it was only 50 episodes ago. So 9 months or so ago, we had this. I didn't. And for everybody, are you going to be are people going to be able to purchase chocolate chip cookies off the website, or you have to go to the restaurant to get them?
So we will have a separate website. So Tandy's restaurant umbrella, Embers is like an umbrella underneath it. So we're going to still keep the identity of the Embers Chocolate website. But if you go to Tandy's, we'll still have, you know, pastries and chocolate chips, and you'll still be able to buy kind of bars on there, but it'll be more of like in-app ordering, stop and pick up. And then on the website, you can reach out if you want to pick it up in person. If not, we'll ship it through the website. So.
Gotcha. So you will be able to get your fix of Tandies, however, right? And another reason to visit Phoenix, but not in August, because it's really hot in August. Well, no, you go from the air conditioning of your hotel to the air conditioning of your car to the air conditioning of your restaurant. I suppose that's that the way it works in the summer?
We'll have cacao fruit smoothies, and we'll have iced chocolate. You can do all kinds of stuff in the summer.
So fabulous. And just for anybody who is listening, so while it's not necessarily important to have a sit-down restaurant concept, which is serving 3 meals a day, the idea of having a retail location gives you an opportunity to be able to develop and sell products which help you through summertime, which is the hardest time for people to do. So being able to do ice creams and gelatos using the chocolate you make, the ability to do milkshakes, the ability to do things like cacao fruit smoothies, all that kind of stuff, are the things that will bring people in, right? That will provide you with a way to get through the long hot summer months where you're not shipping all that much. And with that, again, I want to say thank you very much, Tandy. But for everybody, this is the homepage of The Chocolate Life. This episode of PodSave Chocolate, like every episode of PodSave Chocolate, is sponsored by the members of The Chocolate Life. You go there and you can sign up. There's always a free membership. If you sign up for the premium membership, there are tiers which provide coaching and other kinds of benefits, and they keep the lights going here at TheChocolateLife.com. And with that, everybody, I want to say thank you very much, and to remind you, if you're working with chocolate and you are not having fun, you're doing it wrong. Until the next time, Tandy, thank you very much for being here today, and everybody, ciao.
Thank you, everyone.